I noticed something really interesting. Right now, I want to talk about a question that has been haunting Bleach fans for years. Will we finally see Aizen's Bankai? And more importantly, do we even need it? And the more I studied the manga, Kubo's interviews, and the structure of the final arc itself, the more I've come to a conclusion that a lot of people probably won't like. When people talk about Aizen's Bankai, they usually imagine something so absurdly powerful that it could completely flip the entire story, and honestly, that makes sense. We're talking about a character who has represented intellectual superiority for decades, a man who deceived the Gote 13, manipulated the Espada, and essentially transcended the normal boundaries of a Shinigami. But this is exactly where the first problem appears. The strangest mystery about Aizen isn't that we don't know his Bankai. The strangest part is that the author has deliberately avoided showing it for over 20 years, and that doesn't feel like a coincidence. Maybe we, as fans, are asking the wrong question. I know that in canon, there is virtually zero chance that Aizen doesn't have a Bankai. On top of that, many of Bleach's internal rules indirectly support this idea. Before we go any further, I'd really appreciate your support by subscribing to the channel. I'm very close to reaching my first 500 subscribers, and every single subscription means a lot to me right now. A big thank you to everyone who has already subscribed and continues to support my content. As we remember from the final arc of the manga, Aizen faces off against a being who has already absorbed the Soul King. Aizen is immortal thanks to his connection with the Hogyoku. He uses a level 99 Kido spell. He activates Kyoka Suigetsu. He relies on his intellect, but his Bankai still never appears. Many fans try to explain this by saying Kubo simply didn't have enough time to finish the arc. However, once the TYBW anime began, the situation changed. The author is now actively involved in production, and we've already seen new scenes and expanded canon content. If Kubo truly just wanted to show Aizen's Bankai, there would have been plenty of opportunities. I believe the answer lies in the philosophy of the character itself. Aizen has never won through brute force. So I want to share a theory that, to me, feels far more interesting than any time manipulation or reality rewriting abilities. What if Aizen's Bankai comes with a serious drawback? This actually fits perfectly into Bleach's logic. Look at Shinji Hirako. His Bankai is incredibly dangerous, yet almost useless in a direct duel. Look at Shunsui. His Bankai can end a fight, but at the same time, it puts allies at risk. Even the strongest abilities in this world come with a price. Why should Aizen be the exception? Maybe his greatest strength is also his greatest weakness. There's a theory that his Shikai creates absolute lies, while his Bankai reveals absolute truth. And the more I think about it, the more interesting it becomes. Aizen's entire identity is built around controlling information. He manipulates how others perceive reality and forces them to see exactly what benefits him. Now imagine a Bankai that completely destroys any illusion. Such a Bankai would be unbelievably powerful, and at the same time completely inconvenient for Aizen himself. It would break the very fighting style that made him a legend. More than that, this ability could also explain how he learned the world's deepest secrets. Maybe through contact with absolute truth, he once saw the reality of the Soul King and developed his hatred for the existing order. Of course, this is only a theory, but it feels much closer to Bleach's philosophy than yet another ability that destroys galaxies with a glance. And this is where Yhwach comes in, because he becomes the main argument against revealing Aizen's Bankai. Let's be honest, no matter how incredible Aizen's Bankai might be, it cannot steal the finale from Ichigo. That's the fundamental issue with most fan theories. If his Bankai can defeat Yhwach, then what was Ichigo's role for? If it can completely neutralize the Almighty, then the entire climax of the story collapses. And if it ends up being weak and disappointing, fans would be let down. The stronger the Bankai, the more it breaks the story. The weaker it is, the less sense there is in hiding it for 20 years. That's why I believe Kubo ended up in a very unique situation. The mystery of the Bankai has become more important than the Bankai itself. And if I were the author of this manga, I honestly wouldn't reveal it either, because sometimes uncertainty is stronger than an answer. Every year that passes without revealing it only increases its mythic status. And there's another detail that people rarely talk about. In the fight against Yhwach, Aizen already achieved something almost no one else could. He managed to deceive a being capable of seeing countless possible futures. I was genuinely impressed when Aizen, who manipulates present perception, managed to interfere with the ability of someone who controls the future. Even without a Bankai, that alone already stands as one of the most impressive feats in the entire series. After that, I started wondering maybe we've already seen parts of his Bankai in action, just without official confirmation. After merging with the Hogyoku, Aizen long stopped being a standard Zanpakuto user. I suspect his connection with Kyoka Suigetsu has changed. Maybe the line between Shikai and Bankai has already blurred. That would allow the anime to preserve the mystery while also giving fans a new perspective on old events, especially if the fourth core expands the final battle. But even then, I don't expect a traditional Bankai declaration scene. It's too late for that, and as I've said, it's too risky. And from what I see on social media, fans don't even really want his Bankai anymore. And even if Kubo does introduce a new version of his ability, it should reinforce the theme of perception control, not turn him into another destruction machine. Because Aizen was never about explosions. He was always about ideas and intellectual superiority. And that's exactly why the phenomenon of Aizen's Bankai is so fascinating to me, somehow both complex and surprisingly simple at the same time. Looking at his story as a whole, it becomes clear that he has always aimed to rise above established limits. His rebellion wasn't directed at individual characters, but at the structure of the world itself. In that sense, he resembles many great anime antagonists, including Madara from Naruto. But there's an important difference. Most villains want power, Aizen wants truth. And that's exactly why I believe the chances of a full Bankai reveal in the fourth core are almost zero. And honestly, it's funny seeing YouTube videos claiming otherwise. Yes, new scenes are almost guaranteed. And the battle against Yawak will likely be extended, and Kubo is definitely capable of surprising the audience. But the entire story of this character seems to push us toward a different conclusion. Sometimes a mystery is meant to stay a mystery. Sometimes the strongest decision an author can make is not showing the card everyone is waiting for. And yet, we can't completely rule out surprises. Kubo has already shown that he enjoys reinterpreting old ideas. So there is a scenario where Aizen gets a new scene that doesn't reveal the name of his ability, but rather its philosophy. That feels far more believable than a full mechanical reveal. Still, I personally hope that doesn't happen. In the end, I believe the discussion around Aizen's Bankai has long stopped being about technique. It's about legacy, expectations, and how powerful a mystery can become when it survives an entire generation of viewers around the world. So, what do you think? Does Aizen even need a Bankai after all these years? Should Kubo finally reveal it in the final core? Because for me, the answer feels obvious, and I don't think it's worth doing.